Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC. Today we've got a huge roundup of breaking Liverpool stories you won't want to miss. From a surprise twist in Alexander Isak's injury update, with Sweden confirming the striker is not ready, to growing questions in Arne Slot's midfield as transfer rumours pick up serious pace. Plus, a big statement from youngster Rio Ngumoha, and strong words on when Mohamed Salah should be dropped. Sit tight Reds, this one's packed. Let's dive in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window.
Alexander Isak injury twist as Sweden reveal plan for Liverpool striker. He is not ready. Graham Potter has admitted Liverpool striker Alexander Isak is not ready to start. Following his recent return from a groin injury, Graham Potter has revealed that Alexander Isak will not start for Sweden against Switzerland on Saturday night following his recent return from injury. The Liverpool striker has been sidelined with a groin issue since being forced off at halftime in the Reds' 5-1 thrashing of Eintracht Frankfurt last month. The 26-year-old missed 4 matches before returning to Arne Slot's matchday squad for Liverpool's trip to Man City. However, he was left as an unused substitute as the Reds fell to a dismal 3-0 defeat. Isak was named in the Sweden squad for the November international break prior to last weekend's loss at the Etihad, and while he has been past fit to feature for his homeland in their latest World Cup qualifier, Potter has confirmed that he does not believe Isak is ready to start following his return from injury. He's not ready to play 2 90-minute games in 4 days, so we have to be smart and use him well, Potter said at his pre-match press conference. No, he is not ready to start. I don't want to talk too much about details or the starting 11, but I think the best thing for Alex is to help us from the bench. He's had a good week. He's not ready for 90 minutes, but you'll have to wait and see tomorrow. Isak has endured a difficult start to his Liverpool career after joining the Reds in a British record £125 switch from Newcastle United on transfer deadline day. The striker did not feature for the Magpies throughout pre-season or the opening weeks of the Premier League season as he essentially went on strike and trained alone in a bid to force through an exit. Having taken his time to get up to speed as a result, the forward has scored only once from his first 8 appearances since moving to Anfield and following his recent groin injury. Slot called for patience with Isak ahead of the striker's return to training. He will train with the team for the first time today, after being 3 weeks out. He said, "I know I said 3 weeks ago his preseason ended, so now we have to see where he is. If you are 3 weeks only with the rehab, that doesn't bring him back to the levels he was 3 weeks ago. You cannot compare rehab with games of football or training with the team. So, again, I have to say, give him some time." Meanwhile, Slot later explained his decision to only name Isak on the bench against Man City, as he admitted the striker was not ready to make a full return. "For me, he is in the end stage of his rehab," he told Sky Sports ahead of kickoff. "Had 2 training sessions with us. Yes, we have trained, but not with the intensity that would have been best for Alex. He is there if he needs to help us." With Isak seemingly set to be limited to a substitute role for Sweden against Switzerland, both club and country are continuing to tread carefully with the forward following his disjointed campaign to date. Liverpool midfield questions to begin for Arne Slot with transfer noise expected to grow. Liverpool's midfield was completely rebuilt in the summer of 2023, and more transfer questions are soon set to arise in that department of the Temin. The rush to dismiss Arne Slot and rewrite the history of last season's Premier League title win in his first year as Liverpool boss. It has been argued he simply inherited Jurgen Klopp's team. A run of 7 defeats in 10 has seen many confidently state that Slot was only able to counter to the title at the first time of asking by 10 points, and 4 games to spare because of the squad bequeathed to him by his predecessor. Slot himself was the first to acknowledge the healthy state of affairs he walked into in the summer of 2024, and the fact that only Federico Chiesa was signed was indicative of a coach who was firm in his belief that he had a world-class group of players to choose from, ignoring the tactical tweaks and individual improvements of certain players under Slot's guidance. However, does a huge disservice to the Dutchman and his staff, en route to the club's 20th title. There is, though, a kernel of truth in the idea that some of the seeds were sowed by Klopp and his staff in his final year. That idea is particularly prevalent in the midfield rebuild of 2023. That summer, Liverpool embarked on a costly renovation of their engine room, adding Alexis, Mac Allister, Dominik Szoboszlai, and Ryan Gravenberch to their ranks alongside Endo, whose £16 million capture from Stuttgart in August of that year was something of a left-field transfer. Endo was used in a specific role as a squad player under Slot, but the trio of Mac Allister, Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch formed the backbone of the midfield that won the league last time out, with all 3 proving to be hugely important. en route to the championship. Mac Allister had been tracked extensively at Anfield, and the new contract signed at Brighton and Hove Albion the previous October contained a release clause, which Liverpool were able to establish the existence of through their relationship with agent Juan Gemele. The Argentina World Cup winner joined early in the 2023 window for around 35 meters in a deal that was seen as the sign-off point from then outgoing sporting director Julian Ward, who handed over duties to temporary stand-in Jorg Schmatke Liverpool, then moved on to Szoboszlai, triggering another release clause, this time to the tune of £60 million, to land him from RB Leipzig. It was a deal that was expedited quickly after the Reds had cooled interest in Mason Mount, who eventually left Chelsea for Manchester United for a similar fee. The clause expired at the end of June that year, meaning the Reds had to act quickly, or risk Leipzig raising the price of the Hungary captain. And the final piece of the midfield jigsaw was complete, when long-standing target Gravenberch saw the writing was on the wall for his Bayern Munich future in late August, sealing a deal worth around £40 million after a year of stagnation in Bavaria. Now at the halfway mark of their respective 5-year contracts, though how long before their long-term futures start to form part of the internal discussion at Anfield, both Mac Allister and more recently Szoboszlai have been tentatively linked with Real Madrid due to the success they have enjoyed while on Merseyside. Speaking earlier this month, Mac Allister's father, Carlos, said, "I read the rumors, but that's all they were. There was no contact. In any case, it's always nice when my son is linked with the biggest clubs in the world. Real Madrid is a very big club, but so is Liverpool, and we must be responsible and respect the institution he belongs to and that believed in him. I have to be prudent. He plays for Liverpool now. In the future, if the opportunity arises and it's appropriate, he'll have to make his own decisions. That's what I've raised them to be. I have the freedom to give them my opinion, and they have the obligation to do what they think is best." The longer each of the three get into their contracts at Liverpool will lead to growing noises from around Europe about interested parties, and while Anfield officials will remain confident in their ability to withstand admiring glances in their leading lights, speculation is rarely courted. The trio's enduring importance to the cause was reaffirmed recently by the Reds, ending a run of 6 defeats in 7 by starting together for the 2-2-0 win against Aston Villa. Slot then named the same combination for the 1-2-0 triumph against Real Madrid in the Champions League 3 days later, and the good news for the Reds is the best years of their respective careers, theoretically, still lie in wait. Gravenberch, at 23, is the youngest. Mac Allister turns 27 on Christmas Eve, and Szoboszlai is less than a month into his 25th year. With time on their side, Liverpool will be in no rush to address any of the trio's long-term futures, given the likes of Andy Robertson and Ibrahima Konate are now around 6 weeks away from speaking to clubs outside of England about a pre-contract agreement. But as those two players, and, more specifically, Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, last season have shown over the last 18 months or so, allowing the brightest talents to enter the final knockings of their deals is rarely a wise strategy. Perhaps the long-term future of Liverpool's midfield is one to gently contemplate at Liverpool in the second half of this season then. Rio Ngumoha sends timely message to Arne Slot as Liverpool youngsters catch the eye. Ngumoha's latest demonstration of his superb talent was fully on show for Arne Slot too. See Liverpool starlet Rio Ngumoha showed Arne Slot the talent he has at his disposal after scoring a thunderous goal for the England U19s just 81 seconds into the game. In what was his first goal for the age group on Saturday, Ngumoha made the ultimate impact in the 2026 Euros qualifying match that ended 7-0 in the Young Lions' favor. It was in September that the 17-year-old earned his first call-up to the U19s and has remained in the squad ever since. After starring for Will Antwi's side in Wednesday's 2-0 win over Lithuania, where he earned an assist, the Red Star was in the starting sheet once again and repaid his manager's faith with a scorcher of a finish. Positioned on his favored left flank, the winger was double-marked but used his trademark agility to cut inside on his right foot as he unleashed a curling strike in the back of the net, leaving the goalkeeper with no chance to save it. Ngumoha played the full 90 minutes in the victory, where he played alongside fellow Liverpool teammate Trey Noni, who got an assist for the third of Jesse Derry's hat. The 18-year-old, who the Reds signed from Leicester City in 2023, was substituted off after 68 minutes. Following his iconic stoppage time winner against Newcastle back in August, Ngumoha has struggled to see the pitch for the senior team, with just 29 minutes of Premier League action since his debut. With just 207 minutes of action in total for the Reds this season, the teenager has far eclipsed that number with the England unit, where he's already clocked up 375 minutes on the pitch. Ngumoha may have found game time recently hard to come by after several cameos in the first few weeks of the season, but he's already given advice to remain patient by none other than Mohamed Salah. He is still so young, the Egyptian great told Men in Blazers. When asked what he thinks Ngumoha's future will look like, I told him after the game, just leave the social media alone. You can be happy about the goal with your family, with your friends. Enjoy the moment to the max because it's your moment in football. I said don't really get engaged and just get your appreciation from the outside world, because it's always going to be fake. So what future is waiting for him depends on how he's going to handle the situation, how he's going to work. He needs to work hard and just stay humble, because he's very young. Some players which I told him peak too early and struggle after that, so I really wish him the best. He has a good group and we always try to speak with him. The manager always speaks to him. He just needs to stay humble, work, and we'll see. Liverpool boss Arne Slot told exactly when he should drop Mohamed Salah. Liverpool star Mohamed Salah has struggled for form this season with just 4 Premier League goals to his name so far, and Arne Slot has now been sent a message over his place in the side. Arne Slot has been told that the African Cup of Nations provides the perfect opportunity to usher Mohamed Salah out of his Liverpool side. The Egyptian forward has struggled for consistency this season following last year's standout campaign. He has 5 goals in 16 appearances in all competitions, coming after he netted an eye-watering 34 on the way to Liverpool, winning the Premier League title. Despite that success, Slot revamped his attacking options, bringing in Alexander Isak, Hugo Ekitike and Florian Wirtz, for a combined fee of almost £250 million. Those moves haven't reaped immediate rewards though, with Ekitike the only one of the trio to hit the ground running. Salah has also struggled for form, with growing calls for the Egyptian to be dropped to the bench, and former Reds midfielder Don Hutchinson believes AFCON, which kicks off next month, will give Slot the perfect chance to play his new signings together, in a combination that could stick around even after Salah's return. Hutchinson said, if you want to put a positive spin on it, every team in the Premier League would love Wirtz, Isak and Salah. Now Slot's job is trying to come up with a formula to get all those 3 into the same 11. With Ekitike, because you can't spend all that money on Wirtz, Isak and Ekitike, and tell them to fight for their place in the side. They have to be starters now. I would be very tempted to play all 3 from now to the end of the season, and play their way into form, into goals, into chemistry, into improving the league position. I know it's a big jump from now to the end of season, but that will be Liverpool's team and individuals going forward. That's what I would look at. So the uncomfortable conversation is around why and how you don't get Mo Salah into that team anymore. Perhaps the Africa Cup of Nations would be the time to try it. Liverpool boss Arne Slot has already shared his thoughts on Salah's form and claimed it was of little concern. Speaking last month, the Dutchman said, the main thing is that he always has scored goals for Liverpool. The last thing I worry about is Mo scoring goals again. He's done that his entire life and I expect him to do that again in the upcoming weeks and months.